Hello and welcome to the 707 show. I think again we didn't quite make it 707. I think we're like 708 again. I don't know. That 1 minute always catches us.
We're close.
We're close, yeah. We're having some technical issues tonight though. We couldn't go live from the 707 Facebook group, our specific group for it. So we're going from our timeline and we'll share it on there. And so we'll figure out what the technical nonsense is. Right. So my darlings, welcome. It's me, Moira Bush.
Dwayne Richards.
And we're going to talk about money and unicorns tonight.
The money conversation went so well last time that we thought, let's do it again.
Let's do it again. Yeah.
And again.
And again. Well, I know this is a topic we got to talk about it. It's very important. So just for those of you tuning in, my darlings, please, if you could share the show, if you could let other groups and your timeline and friends join in, that would be deeply appreciated by us. And then I would like your collective thoughts, feelings, and prayers, because one of our dear friends, and she's a fabulous co-host on the 707 show, Miss Catherine Jujak. We call her Miss Blue because she's got that little blue hair. Mm-hmm. She's in hospital. She's been there for about a week. She's feeling a little bit poorly, so we want to send out some love and vibes to her. So if you can put in some blue hearts throughout the show, so she knows that they're for her, we'd appreciate that very much. She's in, I think, Woodstock Hospital. Yeah. So blue hearts. Okay, I'm going to ask you again later on in the show. And then we've had our. What did you think about the whole? Did you watch the episode with Nadira and Shannon when we just spontaneously came up with that compassion project? Mm-hmm. Did you watch that?
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah. It's fantastic because I know Nadira, and actually I talked with her today, so she reminded she's going to drop her. She's going to give me her stuff on Before Friday, and I will get you her stuff from her by the weekend.
Excellent.
So
Excellent.
Sometimes it's amazing when things just kind of are.
It
was
very spontaneous. Yeah, I mean, you sit there. I was sitting in that chair, and Shannon said her cousin was working in this project in the Philippines with these children, and they've got they've got very little equipment, and even they share toothbrushes, and they had no pens and paper. And I'm like, we just chuck stuff away here, just even half used or not used. So why don't we gather it and send it over to the school? And that's exactly what's happened. So we want to thank the following people for already donating. You're just brilliant. Regina, who's holidaying in Belize right now
for her birthday.
Oh no, she's having a fabulous time. Yeah. And Deborah from the United States sent some money over, thank you. And then Maria has just donated a huge wad of stuff. And then we also like to especially thank Catherine Bork and her husband Greg. They are actually donating an industrial or an office-sized printer to the schools in the Philippines. And because they need a printer, so we're just so grateful for you. So please, we need some money in a couple of dollars donations here and there as well, just to ship it over, because apparently it's quite a heavy printer as well. So we would like you to add some cash as well to the process.
All right, since I was going to clean and I didn't, so I will I'll make myself accountable. Sometimes money is, and since we're going to be talking, look at this, a nice red one. The real deal.
There we go. Okay, Shannon, we've got money towards the printer being shipped out to the school.
Because it is, I will donate some pencils and stuff. And like you said, sometimes it's nice to do that stuff, but it's also the cost to get the stuff there. It's the cost to
get it there. There's Shannon. I talked to my cousin on Saturday, and she's extremely touched that we are collecting. Fabulous. So please let her know that we're also now asking for some money to get the stuff over there as well. Laura Betts has joined us. Joanne, that's wonderful, my darlings. Thank you so much. Please put there we go, blue hearts. You see all the blue hearts there. We need you to put blue hearts out, because one of our friends and co-TV host, Catherine Blue, is in hospital, and she's been there for a week. She's been really, really poorly, and let's cheer her up with lots and lots of blue energy. So I want throughout the show, please just put blue hearts out there, okay? Then I think the other bit of housekeeping we had to mention, Dwayne, was the audition. Because on the 26th of March, we're inviting you, anybody out there who is willing to come to Oakville in Canada, to come and sit and have a chat and be a guest on the 707 show. So we'd love you to audition. And
it's very comfortable.
It is comfortable.
And I like the...
You said you liked our new
table, but I like and again, since we're on the first time, the new set.
You like the set, it's nice, eh? Yeah.
I'm very comfortable. You can even have the couch, or they could have the
And it's big enough you can tuck your legs, you can sit, it's casual. It's not one of those formal shows, right?
Yeah.
All right, so that's housekeeping. Just to mention again that the school is in Palawan, and Michael has been putting up some slides, I think, that you've had a look to see exactly where it is, and it's in a little village called Tigman. There's about 350 families there. They've got 3 kindergarten and 1 elementary school. Let me just quickly give you an idea of what we'd still love to collect. Basketball clothes. They love basketball. So hats, jerseys, shirts. They like to play basketball after school. And for that, they also need to have their hair tied up. So the girls would like some hair bands, something to put their hair out their face. The boys would like some caps. And there's anything from age 2 to 10 years, and some sunglasses. Just think about your own kids going out into the sun, and they were going to play basketball. What would you dress them up in? Those are the kind of things that we take for granted they actually don't have at all. So that would be lovely. So that's the kind of clothing that they're after. We are still looking for some outdoor toys and some coloring books. I think those are the kind of things that we need as well. I think that's on the list. But if you're not sure, you're so welcome to contact myself or Michael. We're coordinating it, and we will let you know what's what. Yeah. Oh, I've got to tell you, Ash asked a question. Ash Silva, a friend of the 707 show, and he's a member. He said, please ask Dwayne, what is the real color of money? Now, he said he's going to watch the replay. He couldn't catch the live tonight, but he said, I had to ask you this question. What's the real color of money?
What do you want it to be?
Exactly.
This one's red. And so it is, because sometimes we're going to get into it. There's different colors of money, right? Like there's brown, there's green, there's purple. It's interesting.
I like the brown ones.
The brown ones are nice too. And it's interesting because one of the people that you've had on your show, on the other show, was Dr. M, and she actually went back to her economics class at U of T Mississauga and asked them, and it's really nice because they came back. She asked 4 students, and they had 4 different colors. Yeah. So one person said brown, because of $100 bills. And it was interesting because one said red and one said black, but it was different than what we thought of. Like sometimes we think red, but they said like in the red.
In the red, yeah.
Because they're business students, so it's the thing about in the red or in the black.
Yeah.
So they associate it with that. And then one was the traditional green, greenbacks. The American. Lots of people say, isn't it just green? Like, is it money green?
And then you got to think about coins as well, because you get gold, copper, and copper coins, and silver.
Gold bullion, like a big brick of gold.
So we were going to have a conversation tonight about money becoming 2-dimensional. So I think we need to ask all our friends and fans and everybody watching. Hello, Charmaine. Hayden from Australia has joined in. Mark Dunn. Hello, darlings. Welcome. Welcome to the show. Yeah. Do you think money is becoming 2-dimensional? And what do you mean by 2-dimensional, Dwayne?
Yeah, so we actually, we had planned this show like 2 weeks ago before the big snowstorm, Snowmageddon came in. And
I had a night off.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes it's better just to say, let's just drive safely. And really, the part of the conversation became a 2-dimensional to say, okay, is money just used as a currency? And then we said about moving from, part of it was also where we were talking about going from 3D.
Yeah, we used
the 3-dimension.
Yeah, this folds. It looks 3-dimensional. You can touch it, but money now is really no longer about holding this in our hands, is it?
Yeah,
it's become very flat because it's gone into the world of technology.
Yeah, and then there was a post that Melissa had posted, the whole thing about people going from 3D to 5D, like the 5th dimension. And then she's like, some people are still in 2D. So we think that we're moving, but then we've actually taken a step back. So we talked about money and and what I found personally as a financial advisor recently, meeting a lot of new and clients for the first time, kind of like cold leads, is that money, there is that extra dimension to money where it has the emotional, the emotional triggers, or the feel, like the money. And that was the post, or the quote we were going to reference was Brendan Burchard's quote.
Oh yeah, he's
that
brilliant.
Since we have it, I'll read it to you. It's from his book, The High Performance Habits. So if anyone's read that book, I'm actually in the process of still reading it. It's a little,
it's heavy.
It's a little heavy. So it's not to think,
it's in my cupboard
not to
there.
feel bad, but like
away for a bit.
I'm still like on like the first section of it, but it's you kind of read a bit and you process it. But it was think of an emotion as I was talking about the difference between your feelings and emotions. So think of an emotion as mostly a reaction, and the feeling as the interpretation. And then his part is my automatic emotions don't have to be in charge. My feelings are my own. So what I find is when I'm meeting new people and we're talking about life insurance or investments or their debts or just positive, and just being aware of when sometimes they sort of pull back, or all of a sudden and I was with a client where we're talking about some different things, and then the wife went really quiet and just kind of closed up because there was just it was good because we were open in the conversation, but you could just see that conversation was
it was an emotional conversation. It's money, but it was an emotional conversation. Yeah. So do you think that money gets in the way of us actually facing some of the issues we need to face with money?
It can be one of those, whether it be a trigger or one of the factors that we take, and that's where we say, like, is it? We're not just living in a 2-dimensional, like it is 2D, 3D, but it's just being aware of no different than other triggers. Like we let the weather impact. So we didn't do our show. We're like, okay, we're gonna let the weather impact us, and that not doing the show that day we could feel down about it, or like people are waiting to listen to us. But then you're like, well, it's not just, but it's we can do it next week or we can do it after. So it's not letting that.
But we do that with money too. We go, I should be looking after my money, and then we go, well, I can do it tomorrow, or we put it off because it's sometimes there could be this fear blocking you from actually looking at it. I always think about the days when I was deep in debt many years ago, and I made sure that I never got to that stage ever again where I received all these envelopes and I couldn't open them up because the fear that came up in me, I just couldn't handle it. And it was just to look at what I had created unconsciously with spending money I didn't have. I couldn't handle it. It was emotional reaction. It absolutely caused Catherine. Hang on, Catherine is in. I believe money can get in the way for a lot of people's and happiness. Yeah, and because we see money as something other than happiness and joy. And Catherine, darling, we've asked everybody to send you lots of blue hearts. We're hoping you get better soon, and we really appreciate you. We know you're in a hospital and you're tuning in, and we love you lots, darling. So get strong soon, okay? Let's have a look what Hayden is saying. Money is just an energy which responds to self-love. I love money. I use it wisely, constructively, and judiciously. Money is constantly circulating in my life. Oh, I love the way you're writing about this, Hayden, because Dwayne and I were just saying upstairs that I have a program that I'm going to be launching on the Moira Bush Academy, and online courses I'm creating, and I've created homework assignments for each of the chapters, and chapter 4 is about money. And Dwayne was giggling when I told him. I said the homework assignment on that one is they have to write a love letter to money. Yeah. They have to, very similar to what Hayden just said, they actually have to apologize for not respecting it and treating it as the divine energy, for seeing it as something that gets in the way of happiness, and asking forgiveness for money. It's a real love letter, like a reunion, and actually till you can really love money and appreciate it and see that it's divine and it can do these amazing things for you.
Yeah, it's appropriate this time of year too because it's tax season. So what on top of our relationship with money.
Take a deep breath. If you're having an emotional fear come up because the tax season has been mentioned.
Tax man.
Please, Brendan Bouchard says, get the emotions out the way.
Which again can be, and again I'm doing tax returns and more of them this year, bringing on new clients to help them do their taxes, and it's really amazing that different people are in different spaces. So some people are really organized and really have that. Okay, I have my folder with all my receipts, and as the mail comes in, I quickly, I open up the mail and I put them in there. I have another client where we're going to do a number of past tax returns for him. And he's like, "Oh, don't worry, I have a drawer at home, and when the receipts come, I just stick them all in the drawer." So I had this magical drawer.
I used to do that.
Didn't open them, but there's some, there's probably some different notices, and then we have, again, some young people, and this is sort of a quick tax tip, is that especially in what we call like the gig economy, where people are working in could be working multiple jobs, or have a bit of my self-employment income, so I'm doing some stuff on the side, but I have my job, and may have a part-time job, and then maybe some residual or passive income as well. And when you don't pay taxes at source on all of them, and then collectively, they get you to a certain level, and you're like, okay, I'm above the poverty line, which is nice. I'm like supporting myself. And all of a sudden you put them all into the software, and then you're like, oh, I'm here in Canada, CRA, Mr. Trudeau wants you like 20%, roughly, maybe 15% of what you earned. He wants you to pay that in tax. Yeah. And you have this chunk of money where you didn't pay tax, and now you have to. And it becomes really disheartening, because you're like, you've worked for like 12 months to just get above poverty.
But the idea is, when you're working, if you're self-employed, you must take your 20% and put it aside. If you know that it's 20%, you put it aside. Yeah.
And that's that's the biggest challenge, because you're trying to pay your credit card bill, and you're trying to put gas in your car, and you forgot to pay yourself. Where if you can pay yourself, put that money in, let it earn a little bit of money interest in a tax-free savings account, so then when March comes, you comfortably and you celebrate it. I'm writing my check to Revenue Canada to celebrate my success. Yeah. And as I'm more successful, guess what? I'm going to pay a bit more, but I'm going to celebrate my success because it's easier said than done sometimes.
I also want to ask you about, and if anybody has any questions, darlings, please just please ask. Just drop in. Michael will alert us if there's any questions we want to answer. And remember your blue hearts for Catherine Blue. The money that is now, because I'm very fascinated by Bitcoin, and I'm very fascinated by the whole cryptocurrency market. And you literally you take your money from your bank. It's an electronic transfer into somebody else's financial institution, and then it does magical things on the ethers. And you then get a printout, or you go on the screen and you look at your investment account, and you look at the interest happening, and the money going up and down. At one point your Bitcoin is worth more, and the next it's worth less. And but you don't actually touch it. And I think what I have, certainly some of the people I've spoken about, what's become really difficult for them to understand is, now if they want to take their money out, because if you go to a bank and your money is sitting in a bank and there's a number, you can go in, you can go to an ATM and you can draw the cash. You can go to the counter, you can draw cash, you've got money in your hand. This cryptocurrency doesn't work like that. It's the process you have to go through before you actually have hard cash in your hands is really, really difficult. I mean, there are courses that you can go on just to learn the process of the whole Bitcoin mining process.
And isn't that amazing that we've created this currency to kind of beat the man or beat the system, and
we can't touch it. It's so
but
difficult.
It actually has more complexity. And people are making money still. It's just now, instead of the bank making money from you, there's some guy in Russia who's making a lot of money from you because he's the one that created it. No offense to people in Russia. Like, it could be in China. It could be wherever. It could be here in Canada.
We have a very big one here in Canada.
Yeah. And it's the best one is the guy that unfortunately the guy that died with all the passwords. Did you hear about that one? No. So it's a cryptocurrency in Atlantic Canada, and he died. He's young. He was like in his 30s, and he died.
Oh my word!
And his wife and him were the partners in the business, but he was the only one that had the passwords.
Oh my word! So then
over $300 million.
Gone. So to me, that's two-dimensional, because it's. you know, how do you even say, well, this is money I've lost? It's like if your house burns down, you can quantify and look at the ashes and go, I've lost money, the value of my house is gone. Or someone steals your wallet, your money is gone. But when it's been in the ethers and it's just floated as digital currency and it's gone, how can you have how can you even have an emotional reaction to that? Because you didn't touch it in the first place. It was something that floated in technology.
And we were going to touch base on this, so we go back to our conversation about being a unicorn. So here's the best thing is like now, okay, if anyone follows me on Facebook, I've done I kind of pulled back and not doing Facebook Lives and different posts. But one of the things I love posting about these days is minimalists, like the whole minimalist movement to say more is like less is more.
Less is more. Do you believe that, guys? We want to know from you. Do you believe less is more?
So it's an interesting concept. So we
is it about spending or hoarding or what is
whatever.
This less is more? It's just everything. Less is more.
Yeah. So one of the things we get the magazine in the mail, and it's Chestnut Hill, which is one of the high end realtors in the city, along with Christie properties around the world. So we're flipping through the magazine. And at one point, when we were doing all the vision board stuff in personal development, it was like, oh, I gotta have this big. It doesn't interest me anymore. We're like, do you really need 5 bathrooms? Who's gonna clean the 5 bathrooms? I know that's kind of a concept, but I'm like, I watch a lot of videos now on tiny homes. I'm like, I can have a tiny home in the country and you could.
Are you going to do it, by the way?
I may.
You're going to.
I may.
Dwayne and I had a talk about investing in a property, a tiny home, popping it in a beautiful spot, and then renting it out as a holiday home.
So if you're interested in partnering, because again, on a small plot, you could put multiple, and they're in like upstate New York that you can do like silent retreats, and there's actually 5 properties here in Ontario. Yeah. They rent them out as Airbnb.
What are you going to do with them in winter though? It's like a motorhome. You got to winterize.
No, you can trek into them. They give you the sled and the snowshoes, and you snowshoe into them. And you want silent retreats. You're up in the middle of like 100 acres in like north of Kingston, no power.
Well, that doesn't feel like a 2D money investment at all. That feels to me more 5D. It feels more there's this incredible emotion around it. There's a place you can visit. You're gonna have memories made of it. I think that's
so Shannon's saying more room, more flow. So again, sometimes it's like removing the clutter. So it's all about and Catherine Blue did a whole exercise, like a 30-day challenge about decluttering, to like open up your closet and again, when we let stuff go, we're open to receiving. So I did it with.
I declutter all the time.
I did it with books.
Do you know who Judy Strictly is? Is she?
I do know who she.
Julia's actually saying she loves your B&B idea.
Yeah.
Deborah Ferdinand, believe less is more, goes beyond the material. Believe too much information, we're just as cluttering.
Oh, that's a big one. Like even like decluttering our computers, like email. Like I wiped out my mailing list. So you know how we were like, everyone's like, oh, the money's in the list. So we pay for software. I use Infusion software. So we're paying like more monthly subscriptions to have more users. So I had almost 3,000 people on my list. Some people I didn't know, like from 5 years. I didn't know. I'm down to actually just over 800. My goal is actually to have only 400 people on my mailing list.
Why?
Because I know who, and then I can actually engage and actually deliver tailored services to those 400 people, and actually have 400 people who are clients, as opposed to 3,000 people who may open an email but never become a client. So why am I paying for extra users?
I love it.
And then I can actually use it for real, like for actual clients to say, okay, I can have a birthday reminder. So still the importance of having an automated system to build the relationship. But why? Unless I'm doing like affiliate marketing and selling someone else's stuff, but then I'm spending a lot of my energy for. Why?
But legally, we have to have those lists because you've got to give them an unsubscribe option.
Yep.
You do need those systems. But I like your idea of decluttering your email. We think of decluttering our wardrobe and decluttering our homes and our mind and maybe our computer memory, but decluttering our email database, that's very challenging. Because that's supposed to equate to this money. It's supposed to equate the more people you have.
The money's in the list.
The money's in the list. They keep telling you that, But what they don't tell you with these marketing gurus sometimes is yes, it's great to say, for example, it's $1 per person. They like to tell you it's literally, if you have how many people you have in your mailing list, it equates to $1 per person. Then what they don't tell you is how much money and time you have to spend constantly putting information out to these people who probably aren't interested in you anyway. They never even open those emails. Yeah.
Which is amazing though, since I did it, I've actually got at least three paying client out of my list. So I had a lady call me last week who I didn't even remember where we met, but she's still on my list because she's here in the GTA. And she called me to say, I'm now a realtor. I'd like to talk to you. I have some tax questions. So we're going to meet this week or next week. And she'll become a tax client. And I go back and I look, and she actually, of the 10 emails I've sent in the last 3 years, she's opened every one of them. But I couldn't actually remember where we met. Yeah. But so now, because I'm sending targeted, specific information that's relevant to the people who are on my list, and then I got some person actually we recorded a 20-minute tax video for her academy that she's now going to market to Staples. But instead of worrying about, we just said flat fee. I charged her X dollars for recording the video. If she makes money on it, fine. But again, sometimes we worry so much about the side, like become an affiliate and all this back end stuff. It's like, just pay me up front. If you make extra money on it, awesome. But if you don't make any, sometimes we put all these complexities into them. Like, yes, it's nice to have affiliate.
It's simple. Yeah.
Minimalist. Simple.
Yeah. And I was watching a documentary on Warren Buffett the other day. I love anything on Warren Buffett. And he'd been giving this young chap some sound advice about the simplest businesses make the most money. I don't know if you've ever seen it, Dwayne, but the person they're referring to is a young guy who decided to do everything Warren Buffett said, and in what he picked up in books and seminars, and he went and put it into practice. And this guy has now got a huge franchise in the States, and it's called 2 Women and a Mop, something like that.
2 brooms and a mop.
2 brooms and a mop. Yeah, Michael watched it with me. 2 brooms and a mop, and he's franchised these, and it's just cleaning. It's just a cleaning service, and he was, I think, on his way to become a doctor or a scientist or something, and he gave it all up, and his parents were upset with him, and they said, how could you do this? But he's ended up being very successful based on that advice from Warren Buffett that says simplicity is the best way, and keep it simple. And I think if you want to make some good money, we need to think about keeping it simple. I think tonight's message is very clear: keep it simple, declutter. And
and put some money energy back into the
and love money.
I love it, but then put it back. So we had I have a Costco card, so you spend money on your Costco, then you get your rebate. So I went the other day and we cashed some of it, but I didn't spend it all. So Costco actually gave me money back, and people say, "Oh, you got money back." I'm like, not really. Like, I had to spend money to get that. It's a false account. And then minimalist says, is it really saving if you're buying something that you didn't really need or plan on buying? So if I go shopping and I see something on sale and I buy a new sweater, I'm like, wow, I saved $20. Did I really save $20? If I have 3 of the same sweater in my drawer, did I really say?
And especially decluttering, you're going to probably throw 2 of them out. Dwayne, I want to just ask you: do you think that this is going to stop? This thing where we can actually touch money as a 3-dimensional experience? Is it all going to go into this 2-dimensional flat digital world? Do you think that's what's going to happen?
No, because we were talking before about the story. So what we do, Saturday mornings. So we live downtown. So we go to the St. Lawrence Market almost every Saturday morning, and we're there, and it's all the local farmers,
boys,
and they all accept cash, coins. Lots of stuff are for $2, so we actually put coins in our pocket and cash. But no one's yes, in the main market, the fee, they do accept debit machines because you're buying $100 worth of salmon or something. So but some people still pay cash. But where the farmers are, we generally take roughly $60. We buy samosas, we buy carrots, we buy beans,
Portuguese tarts.
Portuguese tarts.
He brings them to workshops. I love it.
They're in the main part, so they do. But all the local and there's no machines because they're not paying. They don't want to pay the fees. So why are they going to pay 2 or 3% for the card machines? And there's no time. Like you're like they're servicing so many customers. So there's not Amish, but they're maybe a minute. So they sell eggs, and all they do is they're there, and all they do is they just sell eggs, and it's either $4.50 or $3.75, and we got like peewee. Have you ever seen peewee eggs?
No,
because they're from the young chickens,
yeah,
so the chickens haven't matured. So it's like there's not. So we're like, if you get there late, you get smaller eggs. But we actually, so this is where we talked about with my sons, is we go there, and it is kind of the 2-dimensional, but then it's moving to 3-dimensional and eventually 5-dimensional.
Well, you touch it, so that makes it 3D because you can move it.
But then we also have the experience, so we're using the money to have us have the experience. So then they go and they're sampling apple cider and they're sampling sausages, and then they actually get to know the different vendors. And then after, they actually have the memory, so then they recall the memory of Saturday mornings without spending a nickel.
Emotional memory too.
When we don't spend a nickel, when they're recalling that memory, they're remembering about how good that sandwich tastes with fresh bread and
time with Dad, which is priceless.
So that's where we are shifting, kind of going from. So money does allow us to shift from 2D to 3D to 5D because it is then recalling, and then like I said, the brain doesn't know about what's really happening today versus a visualization. I was listening to Mel.
It's very well known that if you could be sitting in your car, and I know where you're going with this. You could be sitting in your car and you're driving, and if you're visualizing while you're driving that you're doing a workout at a gym, your brain cannot tell, the memory of your muscles cannot tell the difference when you're actually doing it or you're actually driving a car. Are you exercising or driving a car? It will believe what you want it to believe. And
though my legs did feel riding the bike this morning because it hadn't been on there for a while. So when you are in the gym, the legs really did feel the lack of resistance. But there are studies that say like if you do the visualization that it like from a heart point of view that your body can get the same benefits. Yeah.
So we're coming to the end of the show, but we want to just make sure that we've asked you all again to send some lovely blue hearts. Put some comments in blue hearts for Catherine Blue, our friend and TV host. She's in hospital at the moment, and we're sending her some blue hearts to let her know we love and miss her very much and wish her a speedy recovery. I also just want to mention that Melissa, she's the founder of the Color Mirror system, and Dwayne and I both trained in the system, and she came up with something week. Yeah, a new bottle this week. It's a purple and gold bottle, and it's called Unlimited Wealth. And she says that this is to help unlock our potential for unlimited wealth. This could be unlimited wealth with money, but it could also be for peace, joy, love, and so on. And so what we've decided to do is, as a collective, come together on the equinox. For us here in the north, the spring equinox, and it's 21st of March. And we are going to each take one of the bottles and we're going to pour it into a bath sometime during the day. And we are going to go in with a really deep intention to shift the blocks we have that is stuck in our poverty consciousness, to shift the blocks we have that we somehow cannot create wealth, that we somehow cannot be living in unlimited wealth on this planet. And I think it should make a dent in the consciousness. At least let's begin to come together as a group. We've got people from all over the world joining us. We invite you to do the same. We will put a link into the comments feed for you where you can obtain a bottle. Obviously, it's got to come from South Africa where they're made by Melissa, so you need to get orders. If you're certainly in Canada and the US, you'll need to get an order into me or to my business. Michael will take the order by the 1st of March so that we could get bottles in for you. I think in the UK, Australia, a couple of countries that are taking part, they have on the events notice, they've also got links where you can order bottles if you're in those countries. All right. So what do you think about
I'm going to be ordering mine.
Yeah, what do you think about it? You're in purple today, and your trousers a little bit goldy, so you you're
almost there. It's brown about being
It's
about being grounded too. I wore brown pants to make sure I was
it
grounded.
Looks goldy to me.
Golden, yeah.
But what do you think of that process of
and I think
not just looking after your own wealth or lack of wealth, but actually adding it to a global community?
Yeah, and really about the wealth, it's not just the money. Like you said, it is the wealth of like it's when we talk about maybe a different show. We'll talk about what what defines wealth. Like the wealth of happiness, like it's that abundance, that happiness, and it's those things. It's not just.
But it's also money.
It's money because
money.
Yeah, what was it? One of the famous speakers says, some people say they don't need, money's not important, but it's right up there with air. It's easier to, it's easier to breathe when you have it, right? It's not so easy to breathe when you don't have it. Yeah.
Well, just to say again, thank you for all the donations that are coming in. We if you watch the replay in the beginning, if you joined us later in the show, we have started collecting for the kindergarten and the elementary school in the Philippines, and we are still genuinely looking for some outdoor clothes and some toys for the kids. They like basketball, so anything to do with basketball. And next week, we're going to have a special edition. We've got Marsha Lecoeur, who has hosted for us before. She's a co-host with us here at the 707 group, and she is bringing special guest Dr. Benjamin Stone on with her. You've met
they're really good.
Benjamin?
Actually, I was at one of Marsha's work. She did a workshop out on the East End, and she had it was on men's health. So she facilitated, and then she actually had Benjamin and another gentleman were on her panel. And they did about an hour and a half, and talked about sort of the 21st century, men's health, and it'll make your head kind of spin in a good way. Just the wealth of knowledge that Benjamin has, and he was on your show.
He's been on the Magenta show, and he's in the Quantum Physics University right now. I mean, what he's studying is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
And it's going to be fantastic to have him. We're just so chuffed that he's going to be here with Marsha on the sofa next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, Joanne said, we'll just check in here with everybody. Joanne said she's ordered a bottle. And any other questions, Michael, that we need to look at? Oh, look at all the blue hearts.
It was Mel Robbins. So Mel Robbins was the one that
right.
talked about the visualization. So.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks, Julie, for that. Oh, that's wonderful. Feels like love when you go to the farmer's market. Yeah, it does, Shannon. It does. Oh, my goodness. Sweethearts, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us, for joining me and Dwayne here tonight. And Dwayne and I must speak correctly. And, I think let's see how this show goes, because when the last time we spoke about money, we found people were very hesitant, and we actually had a few people come back to us after that last show, Dwayne, and say they started playing it and then they had to stop and go away, and they had to start it again a few times to get into the show with money. They felt that it triggered their resistance in dealing and facing with their money issues. So I do believe that talking about money is a very healing, and I really appreciate you being part of our team and willing to come and have these conversations. Yeah. Love you, doll.
Thank you.
Love you guys. Thank you. We'll see you next week. Cheers.